Königsberg accidentally.
And then in the in The Man in the High Castle, did a little reverse English on this. This is an alternate history in which Germany won World War II. So in the course of the novel, somebody is coming up with an alternate history in which Germany lost the World War II, but it's totally different from the actual world.
Yeah, it's
series.
I've got a question out here.
Oh, yeah.
You can't see him, I don't think.
Fair point.
No, you were raising your hand.
Oh, okay. I do wonder what computer games are doing to the whole alternate history kinds of things. The whole Sid Meier's Civilization series, you can do all kinds of different things. So I would think that for you guys, focusing as you do on an individual character development, given these changes, you can tap into a bunch of people who are interested, like, hey, that's kind of like something I did with my game. But the big sweeps, if that's all the writer offers, it's going to be like, I did that already.
So, is your question that video gaming taps the genre a bit more than literature? Or?
I'm saying it's into it. It could create greater interest in books that cover the same sort of thing, or it might leave people thinking, well, I've already done that, I don't need to read about it.
You know, that is actually a pretty good device to do alternate history, to put it as not the mythical time traveler going back, but simply a computer simulation that whoever's in charge of it, and who knows, for all we know, this could be a computer simulation.
Let's not touch on that one.
I know, it makes you angry. But where you just go back, hey, let's see what would happen if the Battle of Vienna went a different way.
Actually, I think, was it William Wu had some short stories where the mediators it was an adversarial relationship. Instead of suing, you had two players replay a historical battle, and whoever won, they won the mediation. And so, they had a lot of historical battles, and then, you might try to alter the outcomes of that in simulation.
And I guess to bring up computers and stuff, while we have seen adaptations of Man in the High Castle, 1963, and a couple other alternate history novels finally start to gain steam, I have noticed that gaming has been a lot more eager, I suppose, to tap alternate history as a genre than television or movies. You've got BioShock, the Red Alert series. I guess, any theories as to why the media has been so slow to adapt the genre and gaming so happy to take it on?
Cost money to create an alternate world. I mean, you can't just film it in downtown LA unless the alternate timeline is very similar to our own. The production difficulties probably have a great deal to do with it. Also,
well, I would say the audience too, the game people and folks and everything else are people who are interested in this and know about it. And I do not want to trash my students. I love my students. But their ignorance about history would appall every single person in this room. Just think of the worst thing you could imagine. And trust me, there are ones, and they're not dumb kids. They're not dumb, but they're ignorant, and they don't know who won the Vietnam War or where it took place. Which you would think that the fact that it's called the Vietnam War would be a clue, or when the War of 1812. I mean, I think you're joking with me. You're just messing with me, right? And they're like, no, really, tell me about it. And they're interested. I don't know what we're teaching in history classes, by the way, because they don't know these things that are so basic, so basic. So how do you make movies about an alternate history for people who don't even know what the non-alt history is?
That's right. The core audience for alternate history is history buffs.
That was my point. More history is being taught now that the Germans won World War II than didn't. I'm scared one morning we're going to wake up and find out they did, because at some point everybody goes, that was interesting how Hitler won the Second World War, wasn't it? There's a few of us that have strong enough minds going, hey, lost it. Am I the only one who remembers that? Oh, by the way, talking about the Man in the High Castle, I wanted to do an alternate history where Hitler immigrates to the United States like a lot of Germans did. But then, because of his lack of education, he ends up working in a German restaurant. and making hamburgers. The lady comes up with the idea for self-serve, fast-serve hamburgers. And so he founds a hamburger chain and he comes them. No, the man in the White Castle. Hey,
I don't know whether to boo or buy that story.
Yes.
The man in the White Castle. What, hamburgers, Germany? He could have been like the Colonel Sanders of hamburgers. And had the kid, instead of the Colonel with his little bow tie, he had his little mustache, he'd be, oh, this cute little 80, you know.
Well, of course, Norman Spinrad wrote The Iron Dream, in which Hitler immigrated to the U.S. and became, drum roll, a science fiction writer.
People go in and ask for that book. What was the name of the book he wrote? The Lords of the Swastika? No, the book he wrote in the story. The Lords of the Swastika. People go in and ask, hey, I want that book written by that Hitler guy, The Lords of the Swastika. That's not a real book! I think, you're talking about the ignorance of kids today. I think a lot of kids at this point think like Hitler was Trump's father. Because everybody said Trump was just like Hitler, must be like his daddy, you know?
We teach them about the Holocaust, but a lot of them seem to think that's all Hitler did. He just, killed a bunch of people in the camps and don't realize there was a whole war wrapped around it.
The popular media today is just an entertainment. It's not for education. My mother was actually in Milan at the end of World War II and saw, Benito Mussolini and his girlfriend hung up to dry. I know she was there because she was 14 years old, and when you hang a woman, you shoot a woman and hang her upside down by her ankles, her skirt's going to fall over her face and she's going to be hanging there with her panties out. And my mom remembered seeing that, and she thought, as a woman, says, it's bad enough you're dead, but you have to be humiliated, embarrassed too. If you usually see pictures of the corpses displayed, somebody got on a ladder and tied the skirt. Yeah, but my mom was there and saw what it looked like. That's what she remembers, because she was there. That's the first thing she saw. It says, oh my God, that's embarrassing. But I mean, she was there. She still, she remembers seeing German soldiers march into town, and they were snappier dresses than the Italians. They kept their uniforms pressed. You could tell the Americans didn't press their uniforms. And then there you go, alternate history again, personal alternate history, because my grandfather was in Milan. He's watching the Americans march into town. American soldiers have their names on their uniforms. Some guy goes marching past and he sees the guy's name on his uniform. It's Pelusi. He's got cousins named Pelusi. So when the Americans disband in the square, he button holds the guy and talks to him in Italian, and he responds. He says, "Your name's Pelusi. You got any relatives in Massachusetts?" "Yeah." "Who?" "Blah, blah, blah." "Shit, dude, we're cousins." "Wow, that is a small world." "Would you like some homemade ravioli tonight for dinner?" Invited him over. Then after the war, he wrangled an invitation to come to the United States because he saw that guy in his uniform. That's the personal alternate history. If you hadn't seen Mr. Pelusi. Pelusi is a common Italian, and Pelosi is a variant of it.
Well, we're at the 40-minute mark, and I've seen quite a few hands, so let's start with you, I guess.
I found your point about old history in games very interesting. On the fact that I'm an old historian and B, at least was a very avid gamer. Now that I'm at the College of William there, I don't have as much time as I'd like to do that.
More the money, I wager.
I mean, I made a lot of money over the summer, but I digress.
Time.
Okay, what I wanted to say was that gaming it's more niche, and so it has more room to be silly. One of the classic RTS games, Command & Conquer Red Alert, was made in the mid-90s? I know the first was 95, because it's the second in the series, so I think like 97 it was made. And the premise is, this is really silly, Albert Einstein going back in time to kill Hitler, and in doing so, allows the Soviet Union to get much more powerful and invade the rest of Europe, and there's all this crazy technology like weaponized Tesla coils, and they call them chronospheres to teleport stuff. So I think that this niche factor of gaming, that it's not as mainstream as television or movies or what have you, there's more room to experiment because you're not at the mercy of the marketers as much. Sure, there still is some, but there's still assumed geekdom that is there, and that they're more accepting of weird things. That's changing, I feel, since the 90s. You have Man in the High Castle, you have...
But partly is the numbers. If you sold 1 million games, you're a very successful gamer. If you sell 1 million movie tickets, your movie bombed horribly at the box office. So, yeah, no, it's a good point.
Also, some of the alternate history has been done in comics, too. I found